When your cat stares at you while you're eating, do you actually know what they're trying to say? Yeah, it's cute. Yeah, it's adorable. But here's the thing. There's something way deeper happening behind that gaze that most cat owners completely miss. It's one of the most emotionally loaded things your cat can do. And if you misunderstand it, which honestly most of us do, you could be missing out on one of the most meaningful ways your cat tries to communicate with you. By the end of this video, you're going to look at that stare completely differently. Point 1. They're not asking for your food. Here's what most people think when their cat locks eyes with them during dinner. They assume their cat wants what's on their plate. They think it's pure greed. They think their cat is begging, scheming, trying to figure out how to get a piece of their salmon or their chicken. And honestly, that's the most logical guess you could make. But here's what's actually going on. Your cat's sense of smell is 14 times stronger than yours. 14 times? They can pinpoint exactly what you're eating from across the room. They don't need to stare at you to figure out what's in your mouth. If they wanted your food, they'd act differently. They'd meow. They'd circle your legs. They'd get aggressive. But that quiet, steady stare, that's not hunger talking. That's something else entirely. That gaze is communicating something way more important than, give me your dinner. You're missing a deeper call. Point 2. That stare is a protection request. Think about what happens in the wild. Every animal has vulnerable moments, and the most vulnerable moment, when they're eating. When their head is down and their eyes are focused on food, they can't see predators coming. They can't track threats. They're exposed. So here's what cats inherited from millions of years of evolution. They need someone watching their back. Researchers who study feline behavior have found that eating can be an incredibly vulnerable time for cats, even domesticated ones. Your cat might look totally safe in your living room, but somewhere deep in their DNA, they remember what it feels like to be hunted. They remember a time when every meal could be their last. They remember what it felt like to be prey. But here's the neurological part that's really interesting. When a cat's head is down and they're concentrating on food, their peripheral vision is limited. Their entire attention is divided between the meal and staying alert. It's a split focus that makes them vulnerable. So cats in the wild, and your cat's ancestors, developed this behavior. They eat together in groups, or one cat eats while another keeps watch. That partnership, that mutual vigilance, that's what survival looked like for their species. So when your cat stares at you while they're eating, they're not asking for food. They're asking you to be their bodyguard. They're asking you to keep watch while they're exposed. They're asking you to prove that you'll protect them. They're asking you to step into a role that's been meaningful to cats for thousands of years. And that's encoded trust. That's them saying, I'm vulnerable right now and I'm choosing to be vulnerable with you. Point 3. It's a bond signal. Here's something people don't realize about cats. They're social animals. Not in the way dogs are social. Cats have their own version, and eye contact is their primary language for that connection. When your cat stares at you, they're doing something scientists call an affiliative signal. It's a way of saying, you're part of my group. Think about it. In the wild, cats hunt alone. They eat alone. But when they're in a safe space, when they're with their tribe, they eat together, they watch each other, they're present. So when your cat looks at you while eating, they're essentially saying, you're family. You're someone I include in my world. That stare is their way of making sure you know that. And that's not small. That's them choosing you. And hey, If this is making you look at your cat completely differently right now, hit that like button and subscribe. That's how we get these videos to more cat owners who want to understand their feline friend on a deeper level. Let's keep going. Point 4. They're reading you and learning. Here's a behavior psychologists have documented in detail. Cats are incredible observers. They watch you. They learn from you. They figure out patterns. And they do this obsessively. Your cat has noticed that when they stare at you, something happens. Maybe you stop eating for a moment. Maybe you pet them. Maybe you acknowledge them. Maybe you even give them a tiny piece, though you shouldn't. They've learned that this behavior creates a response, but it's deeper than that too. Your cat is also checking your emotional state. They're reading your face, your body language, your energy. They're asking, are you safe right now? Are you calm? Are you present? When you're stressed, when you're anxious, when you're distracted by your phone, cats feel it. They pick up on micro expressions you don't even know you're making. Your cat staring at you during meals is also a way of studying you, learning about your rhythm, your mood, your consistency. They're creating a map of who you are and how you work. And here's what matters. They're doing this because you matter to them. That stare is them saying, I'm paying attention to you because you matter to me. That's actually a form of deep bonding that a lot of people mistake for something else entirely. They mistake it for neediness. They mistake it for manipulation. But really, it's attention. It's focus. It's your cat telling you that you're worth watching. Point 5. Sometimes it's anxiety, not love. But here's where it gets important. Not every stare means the same thing. Some stares are love. Some stares are fear. And the difference matters more than you might think. If your cat is staring at you while eating and their body language is tense, their fur is standing up, their ears are pinned back, their whole posture is rigid, and that's a different message. That's anxiety. That's stress. That's your cat's nervous system telling you something is wrong. Cats from shelters, cats who were rescued from the streets, cats with a history of food insecurity, they sometimes stare because they're worried. They're worried you're going to take their food away. They're worried there won't be enough. They're worried about losing this moment of safety. They're worried the pattern will break. And here's what matters. Their history shapes their behavior in ways that can last for years. If a cat spent months or years without knowing when their next meal was coming, without knowing if they'd survive, that anxiety doesn't just disappear when you bring them home. It doesn't fade after a few weeks. It lingers. It lives in their body. It changes how they relate to food, how they relate to you, how they navigate the world. Some behaviorists call this resource insecurity, and it's real. So when you see that tense stare, it's not manipulation. It's not your cat being difficult. It's trauma asking for reassurance. It's your cat's past speaking louder than your present safety. And the fact that they're still eating, still trusting you enough to eat in front of you, that's actually a massive sign of progress and healing. Point 6. How to read what that stare actually means. So how do you know which stare you're looking at? How do you tell the difference between a stare that means love and a stare that means fear? Here's what to look for. A calm, steady gaze with soft eyes and a relaxed body. That's trust. That's bonding. Your cat feels safe. They feel comfortable with you. That's the stare that means, I love you. Please watch over me. Now flip that. A hard stare with wide eyes, with tension in the face, with rigid body posture, with ears that are pinned back or swiveled. That's anxiety. That's self-protection. Your cat is guarding something. They're stressed. The difference matters because your response should be different too. With the calm stare, you can acknowledge your cat gently, maybe slow blink back at them. That's literally a sign of affection to cats. With the anxious stare, you back off. You give them space. You let them eat in peace. You show them through your actions that their food is safe, that they're safe, that you're not a threat. Learning to read these signals changes everything about your relationship with your cat. So the next time your cat locks eyes with you while you're eating, don't brush it off. Don't assume it's just cute behavior or simple hunger. That stare is ancient language. It's a form of communication that's been shaped by millions of years of feline evolution. It speaks to trust. It speaks to tribal belonging. It speaks to a request for protection and presence. It speaks to vulnerability and the courage it takes to be vulnerable with another species. And here's the beautiful part. Your cat chose to ask this of you. Out of all the humans in the world, out of all the potential threats and strangers and dangers, your cat is looking at you. That steady, unblinking gaze, that's them saying, "You matter to me. You're my person, and I need you." They're not asking for much. They're not demanding. They're just asking you to witness them while they're exposed. They're asking you to be present. That's not manipulation. That's not neediness. That's love. In the only language your cat has. That's trust at its most raw and honest. And once you understand that, once you really feel what that stare is asking for, everything changes. Your whole relationship shifts. Because you realize that your cat isn't staring at you to get something from you. They're staring at you to give you something. The gift of being chosen, the privilege of being trusted, the responsibility of protecting someone small and vulnerable. And that's one of the most beautiful relationships you'll ever have.